Shalom, everyone. In the Torah portion of Truma, God commands Moshe and the Jewish people to make a mishkan, a tabernacle. And it says, V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti betocha. Make for me a holy place, and I will dwell in its midst. One of the objects in the mishkan was the menorah, the seven-branched candelabra. And this menorah is mentioned in the Torah portion of Truma, and then a number of times throughout the Torah, each time revealing a different aspect or a new idea about the menorah. In the book of Numbers, the menorah is mentioned again, and there, at the end of that passage, it mentions that Moshe made the menorah just as God had commanded him, had shown him. And the words were, Kain asa. Kain literally means yes. And asa means he did. So yes, he did just like God had commanded him. Many years later, when King Solomon, Shlomo, is building the temple, he put in the holy place 10 menorahs. Not one like was in the Mishkan, but he put in 10 menorahs. So everyone asks, where did he learn to do such a thing? Where did he get this idea to put 10 menorahs? So here we see an amazing connection to these words, Kain asa, that Moshe did according to what God had shown him how to make the menorah. If you take the word ken, its numerical value is 70. If you look at the 10 menorahs that Shlomo HaMelech made, there were 10 times 7. So there were 70 lamps, 70 lights that he put in the temple. That's the word ken, 70. The word asa that Moshe did, asa equals 375, equals exactly the name Shlomo. So here, Kain asa, Shlomo made 70 lights. This is just an amazing connection here. Now, the deeper question, which we don't really have an answer for, is, did Shlomo HaMelech look in the words of the Torah, and he saw these words, Kain asa, this is how Moshe did it, but seeing that the word asa equals 375, which is his own name, Shlomo, that he understood that it was an instruction to him that he should make 70 lights, 10 menorahs. Or Shlomo did this based on an inspiration that we perhaps don't know. And later, the rabbis noticed that Kain asa equals Shlomo, Kain equals 70, that this could be applied to what Shlomo did. So this is an answer perhaps we will never know, but either way, it's just an incredible numerical gem, and it truthfully could be both. That was the inspiration for Shlomo is by his looking in the Torah. But let's go one step deeper. What is the significance of Shlomo wanting to put 70 lights in the temple in Jerusalem? When we look at the book of Kings, when Shlomo HaMelech dedicated the temple, it records his prayer to God. And he speaks a lot about the Jewish people, the purpose of the temple, of the offerings, of the role of the temple. But then he also adds and says to God, when people come from the nations all around the world to the temple, and it's known that people could come to the temple from all over the world and bring offerings and offer up prayers and have the ambience, the incredible energy of the temple, that they could also partake in this. When Shlomo built the temple, he envisioned a temple that would be a temple for all people. We see in the prophet that, in the book of the prophets, that the third temple, after the first two temples were destroyed, is called the place of God's prayer for all people. That the temple, the future temple, will be for all people. But here we see that Shlomo HaMelech had a vision, had a great desire that the temple that he was building would be that temple for all people, right from the beginning. And we could see from the prayer he offered up to God, as written in the book of Kings, that we could see that was his intention, for people to come from all over the world. And we see also in the book of Kings that the wisdom of Solomon was known throughout the world. And it says literally that people came, especially kings and wise people from all over the world, to listen to Shlomo, to partake of his wisdom. And so we see that Shlomo had a very messianic idea of what the temple should be. And this also goes along with the idea that he married 700 women and he had 300 concubines. And again, everyone asks, what was Shlomo doing here? Is he was trying, unfortunately, we see he didn't really succeed, but at least let's look at his dream, his vision, is that he wanted to bring these women, who many of them who were nobility of their respective countries, that to bring them all under the rubric of God, of the Shekhinah, of Judaism. He wanted to bring everyone to Yerushalayim to worship God together. Unfortunately, his vision fell short. As a human being, he also had faults like anyone else, and he was not able to accomplish what he wanted to. But here we could understand his putting the 70 lights in the temple, the 10 menorahs, symbolized his intent to try to bring the whole world together. It's 3,000 years since Shlomo, but yet we still have the same vision. Our vision of Mashiach, of the Messianic era, is that all peoples will become unified. There'll be harmony and peace in the world. God's revelation will be like never before. And the words of the prophet will be fulfilled, that the third temple will be a house of God's prayer, and it will include all people. It will be a temple for all people, it will be a unified force to bring the whole world together to Jerusalem. May we see it soon and quickly in our days.